Good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the Namaste experience. Yes, we are here to give ourselves wholly to the experience. And I was just thinking right before we started, I was thinking, and I'll just say this for myself, what part of the word only don't I get? Scott was just singing our beautiful chant.
No sound in Zoom,
Only
Brother
God,
Jimmy.
only now. Ooh, let me make sure everybody's. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. I know you guys can hear me. The question is, can you hear me? Not just can you hear me, but can you really hear this? The word only love, only God, only now. What part of that do we flip
Can
by?
you guys in Zoom hear him?
You know, in the chant that we're
Okay,
about to
just
share,
me.
Vicky, you keep getting yourself unmuted. Oh, there we go. Okay. In the chant that we're about to share, we say we only have one goal, the truth that is forever true. We only have one desire, one focus, the reality that is forever real. These are either just words that we say or they're an experience that we enjoy. I was surprised at how many people have come up to me since yesterday morning session saying, thank you for talking about all of this conspiracy stuff. See, you laugh because you know. Like, once again, what part of the word only don't we get? There's only one thing that is going on, and yet everything else is going to try and pull our attention away from that. And for some reason, these shiny little ideas, even though they're not shiny at all, pull us away from the simple fact that only love, only God, only now. This is the only thing we need. It takes mind train, it takes discipline to hold still within that experience of the reality that is forever real. So this is what we're going to be doing today and every day. This is really the only thing we ever do, is hold still within the reality that is forever real. So let's begin doing that right now by sharing our morning chant. And once again, don't just say the words. In fact, if you're wavering and you really feel like you want to be pulled into another silly realm, don't say the words. Don't even say them because you don't mean them. If you're gonna say it, mean it. Let's really mean and feel these words. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so let me pull it up on screen. And away we go. My soul has but one goal, to awaken to the truth that is forever true. My heart has but one desire, to remember the passion of infinite bliss. My mind has but one focus, to embrace the reality that is forever real. I choose to awaken now to the infinite love that is my source. I give everything to this love, just as it has given everything to me. I am awake now. How is everyone today?
Awake and ready.
Oh my goodness gracious. I actually believe you. I really do. What a great, and you were all saying the words, you were all doing the prayer, which means you really believe it. Okay. Now you're going to find times when you get pulled back. You're going to get pulled back into the dream, into the ideas that there's something else going on. But just remember to make a resolute, uncompromised choice for the reality that is forever real. Remember, the truth and illusions cannot mix. This is the mistake that we so often make. We try to mix the two. Okay, the truth that is forever true, and also these people who are drinking the blood of babies, or whatever ridiculous idea it is that's going around now. And trust me, right behind that will be another one that came up in your mind to pull you from the reality that is forever real, the truth that is forever true, the simplicity of this love, only God, only now. This is what we are called to have such a resolute, uncompromising focus on that love, on that reality, that the possibility of being pulled back into the dream becomes just completely unheard. So that being said, I have two different parables that I want to share with you this morning. And the first is very similar to what we have been talking about here. It's called The King's Terrible Dream. You ready? This is your terrible dream as well. One day, as all the disciples were sitting together, the mother gave them this parable. There once lived a great king whose palace was so well protected that not even an ant could enter to disturb him. Guards and sentinels stood at every door, and there was nothing that could disturb the king's peace. But then one night, while sleeping, the king had a terrible dream, more real than anything he had ever known. A rat had slipped between two sleeping guards, and when it entered the king's room, it bit him on the big toe of his right foot. The king screamed in agony, and in the same moment, hostile enemies broke through the gates and began killing everyone in sight, including the king's guards. There was a secret passageway behind his ornate bed, so the king opened the door and slipped out of the palace, evading the enemies who sought to kill him. Everyone who saw him recognized the king, but they were too afraid to help him, knowing that the king's enemies had overrun the palace. He wandered into the forest and walked for many days, and with each step, the infection from the bite grew worse. Just then, or just when he thought all hope was lost, the king came across a small forest hut and knocked on the door. An old woman with eyes like the sun opened the door and welcomed the king. She had him sit in a comfortable chair, then unwrapped his infected foot. She placed her warm hands over the wound, and the king felt a sensation moving through his foot that he didn't recognize. Within a minute, she took her hands away, and the king's toe was completely healed. Overjoyed, the king promised he would reward the woman as soon as he won back his kingdom. The old woman simply looked at him and said, "Your grace, your kingdom was never lost. Open your eyes." Just then, the king woke up in his bed inside the palace, and he looked around. Nothing had changed, and when he looked down at his foot, there was no mark from the rat's bite. He called to his most trusted advisor and asked him if he had ever heard of an old woman in the forest who had the gift of healing. "Yes, Your Highness. There is a woman in the forest many say is a great sage. She is said to be enlightened and has the power to heal any malady." The king commanded the advisor to send men into the forest and to bring the woman to the palace. 2 days later, they arrived with the same woman the king saw in his dream. "Do you recognize me?" the king asked her. "Who in this kingdom does not recognize the king who fell asleep and thought he was a wounded mendicant?" he said. Upon his waking, the king realized that all his troubles were illusions. And when opening his eyes, he found himself safe inside the palace. Let this be a lesson to you, monarch. No matter how real the dream seems to be, your true life is forever protected and whole. Your true life is forever protected and whole. You look, everybody look at their right toe. Do you see a little bite from a rat? Nope. We often use this phrase, the heaven that you never left except in your imagination. We have a very strong imagination, much stronger than you could even begin to understand. So, oh, hello, everyone. I assumed Vicky stepped in and held space until I don't know what's going on with our internet here at Namaste Village, but if we get knocked out again, I'll always be back. So just hold still and we'll be right here. Yes, we were just talking about how stories and parables penetrate and help us learn such a simple lesson like that one, which is simply to remember how safe and how protected we are in reality. And the rest is whatever, just it's part of that dream, imagining that we could possibly wander away from wholeness, which is what we mean when we say that you can't leave heaven except in your imagination. You can't leave who you are and who you've always been, who you could never stop being, because this is how God sees you and knows you. And we have to trust that. And any idea that there's something else out there that could get us, or any idea or group or whatever the theory is, just ignore it. Just keep coming back to love. Now, I was also thinking this morning, in almost every area of my life, maybe this will surprise you, maybe it won't. In almost every area of my life, I have no idea what I'm doing. Very little idea. And you know what? That's the secret of my success. That's what makes it work. Not knowing, not really figuring it out in advance. You know, I was at our church yesterday and I was thinking about this. And I don't say that I don't know what I'm doing, because that might cause concern. I don't want you overly concerned people get to the church. It's Ash Wednesday. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I just think it to myself, but then I laugh and I just let it be. It's like, okay, well, I'm sure I'll be shown. I'm sure Holy Spirit's going to step in here and show me exactly what I need to know or what I need to do. So I have one more parable before we bring Vicky on regarding not knowing. And this parable is called the parable of the two brothers. Here we go. The master looked out at the hundreds of students in front of her and said, "The secret of my success is that I never really know what's going on. Let me explain this through a parable. Once in an ancient town, two siblings ventured out to find the meaning of true wisdom. The first, determined to unearth every secret in the universe, traveled far and wide, filling countless scrolls with knowledge. Townsfolk regarded this sibling as the epitome of understanding, for there seemed to be no question this learned one couldn't answer. The second sibling, however, took a different path and settled by a clear, still lake beyond the town. This sibling claimed to know nothing and spent days simply watching the nature of the water. People would come from far and wide, bringing their most troubled and troubling questions. And often the sibling would just smile and respond with, "I don't know. Let's see what the lake says." They would then sit together in silence, gazing upon the water, and in time, clarity would come to the troubled souls as they found their own answers reflected back. As years passed, the learned sibling grew weary, burdened by the weight of countless facts and figures, pride intertwined with the fear of not knowing everything. But the sibling by the lake remained serene, unencumbered by the need for certainty, always open to the next moment's fresh revelation. When the master finally finished the parable, she held the gaze of her students and said, "Do not mistake my words for advocating ignorance," she said gently, "but recognize that admitting that I don't know isn't a declaration of defeat, but an openness to the exquisite possibilities that lie before us, the exquisite possibilities of everything that lies before us. In the boundless space of not knowing, wisdom, like water, can flow freely and nourish our souls." This, I think, is one of the simplest and greatest truths that we can learn, the power of not knowing or not needing to figure things out. The fact is, as soon as we think we've figured something out here in this physical or egoic world, it changes. Why does it change? To keep you on your toes, or rather to keep you distracted from the simple truth. 3 in 1, really. Only love, only God, only now. That's the only place you're going to find the answer. Right now. And only that space of love within the reality of the divine. Once again, as soon as you think you've got it figured out, it changes. So it's going to always keep you focused out here, distracted. But you are distracted no more. And if you get distracted, I hate to tell you, but it's your own fault. We have to keep going back to that prayer that we share at the beginning of every session. The reality that is forever real, the truth that is forever true. Just cling to that, hold to that like a life raft. Don't try to figure out any of the other stuff. There's enough distraction out there, but we can also use the distraction. For example, I may have mentioned this before, that I have a new guru that I'm really, really giving myself to. Did I mention this? My new guru? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a very, very powerful, very, very, very important guru. You've probably heard of him. His name is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is my guru because if I can get through that, all of that distraction to the heart of who I know Donald Trump to really be, if I can see Donald Trump as God sees Donald Trump, I know I'm home. That will be the journey's end right there. Thank you. Thank you, Holy Guru. And remember, the only real job of a guru is just to spell the word. G. You are you. You are whole. You are protected. You are healed right now. You are the holy, perfect extension of the love and the loveliness of God right now. There's nothing you need to do to be that. We just need to open our eyes, as that old woman in the forest said. Just open your eyes and see where you really are, who you really are, and the rest will happen on its own. So, Vicky, I'm going to go ahead and welcome you, and you can take it from there. Take us home.
Well, you set me up, Brother James. This is all what it's about. This is living all of this awareness, living love. How do we do it? So I guess the best word, especially for the first parable, is that we're all learning to lucid dream. And what lucid dreaming is nothing but being aware that you are dreaming. It doesn't necessarily wake you up right away, but at least it doesn't keep you engaged in the drama. And that, more than anything, is what we're doing. And in the second parable, the student that sat by the lake with those that came to him, teaching each one how to fish, not just handing them a fish. Here, you're healed. Here, don't have to worry about this, worry about that. And sitting by the lake is no different than what we do every Wednesday here, sitting in silence, but hopefully every day in our lives as a way of life. Sitting by the lake is nothing more than making space for what is an experience of love, what is eternal, to come through the veil of our desire to forget it. We have a desire that has stepped in, a desire that has stepped in that has made some illusion, some form, some fantasy seem more valuable to us. And that desire is operating us. And when we step back and we look at the lake and we're quiet, we let go of that desire for a moment. That's all that happens. We let it go. And we make space for what is the greatest fulfillment to start filtering through that denial, that false desire that we had been holding. Whenever we think we know anything, it's because we're trying to get to some outcome that we think will make us safe or someone else safe. And we hold on to that. And the answer is in what you were saying, James, I don't know. Because I don't know is the end of the desire for whatever special thing we thought would protect us. That's really what it is. And it's the openness to what is. I don't know what is, but I'm willing to let go of my idea of what I think it should be. The greatest hindrance to our realization of our holiness is thinking we know anything and then operating on it. It's really that simple. So, except you be like a little child. When we're like children, we don't know, but we do follow the prompts of our heart. That's the prompts of the spirit. It's not the prompts of desire and greed and power and lust and all the rest of it. It's not an addictive desire of our heart. It's the subtle desire in our hearts, and it's in all of us, Donald Trump included. It's in all of us to love, to do our best, to give of ourselves. We all want to give of ourselves, and we don't know how to do it. But if we stop where we are and we let go of any idea of how to do it, and we gaze into the lake, that's just letting that space open, because the lake is the answer. The lake is the symbol of the eternal love that's always holding us, embracing us in every dimension, even here in time. That's why the laws of love will work here in time in a lower order, in a lower realm that's not an eternal realm. But the laws of love operate through a willing consciousness, a willing soul. And we are willing souls. And the way we help a brother to be a willing soul is by recognizing that he is already that. My brother is already holy, divine, blessed. Whatever his costume and script is, he's just doing the best he can. He doesn't, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. In every level, that was the answer. That's what forgiveness says. It doesn't matter. It's a dream state. It's an hallucination. Jesus calls it your weird imaginings. No matter how weird they are, they're not so. My brother, this is not so. The only thing that's so is the love that you are, the love that we've been created in. That's why lucid dreaming, awareness, okay, this looks pretty scary, but I know this isn't all there is. That's enough. That's a crack. It isn't all there is. Let me open and ask, but not look for outside solutions. Those are magical solutions. Let me look at the lake. Let me stay still and let my own desires that got me here. There's not one of us that didn't come to space, time, world, adventure of dreaming, but by our own desire. That's a humbling thought right there. We not only did this to ourselves, we are continuing to do it to ourselves. So always right here, right now, I'm going to stop doing this to myself. I have no desire that has a form to it. My only desire is that I open to love and let love lead me, guide me, hold me. That I receive the benefits, the fruit, the fullness of love right now, without any idea of what it should look like. That's what letting go of every attachment to form is. Health, wealth, relationship, politics, career, worlds, everything. Let it all, just let it go. because the truth of eternal reality is not the forms that we think of. It's not trees.
Uh-oh. Come on back.